Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lori. Hope you're having a glorious day. It's a little rainy outside, thunderstorm, so I thought I would make us something bright and cheery. And I have these new silk screens that I have been wanting to try out. So in order to do this today, you're going to need some paint and clay. And this is the bare minimum that you will need. However, you know me, I like to throw everything but the kitchen sink at my clay. So I have more stuff. These are optional items. For the yellow, I have some yellow mica powder. In the pink, I have Hermosa pink. I also have some chameleon mica powder, color clay you put it on. I have the blue, gold, and green, and I also have the green, gold, and red, again for the yellow. And I have, for the fuchsia primo clay, some blue, violet, red, and orange, and blue, red, violet, blue. And I'm going to play with those, and we're going to make some really pretty cool things. And at the very end, I'm going to use some glitter for the backs of my clay with the resin. And this is the Let's Resin product line, and I have it in gold and in purple. Again, those are optional. You do not have to use them. What you'll need is a roller, a paintbrush, of course, a cutter. You might need some silicone tools along the way. You might need this little guy or something similar to it that has a little spoon for your glitter, and a blade. You never know when you might need a blade. Most importantly, gotta have some silk screens. And you can use any kind of silk screen you have. These are just the ones that I happen to have on hand. In order to do this today, what I really want to do is I want to put the black on the yellow. Doing it, I decided that they needed a little bit more pop. We were going to mix the yellow in before doing it. And by doing that, it gives you a shimmery pearlescence effect. You want to just take a little bit of your yellow mica powder and dump it on your clay. I know it sounds crazy, right? Trust me. Kind of fold it over, put it in there in that little pocket, and we're going to start mixing it in there. And it's okay if it smushes out. It's going to do that. And it's going to get to a point right here in the middle where it doesn't like it. So I'm going to roll it a little bit. See how it's coming apart? That's because the mica powder does not want to stick to itself. And that's okay. We're just going to keep mixing it up. Stay on the inside. So if you want to save your fingers a little bit of strife, you can always use your roller. And I'm just going to keep mixing this in. Okay, so it's not quite there yet. It needs more shimmer, more shine. So we're just going to put some more on there. That's a little too much. So you just pick up the clay and tip it back into the bottle, like so. One of the things you can do is you can always just work it in on the surface. But if we do this, when we go to paint it, it's not going to adhere. The paint will not stick to this, which is why we have to mix it in. And just keep working your clay. It just takes a few minutes, just a little bit of time. And before you know it, you're going to have pretty pearlescent yellow clay. Now, I know this feels foreign to you. I know it feels strange doing this because the clay is not reacting like it normally would when you're just conditioning it because you've put this powder in here. But if you just keep working with it, in a minute, it'll be like there's nothing there at all in the feeling of mixing up your clay. Okay, so I'm satisfied with the shimmer that is in this clay. I'm going to take it and I'm going to run it through my pasta machine on a number 2. Because I'm not making huge earrings today. I have about 1/4 of a block, which is one of these. Okay. And I'm going to take my blade and I'm going to clean these edges up just a little bit. Okay, there was one other thing that I forgot to tell you that you're going to need, and that's a bowl of water. I have a little bowl of water sitting next to me, because as soon as you're finished with your silkscreen, you're going to want to dunk it in the water. And you find the spot you like. I like this piece right here in the center. I really like that ginkgo leaf. It's fun, it's unique. And a little bead of it right across the top. And that's actually probably more paint than I'm going to need. Take your paddle, the diagonal, and just slide it right down the clay. Make sure you cover the whole surface. You ready? Oh, that is so pretty. I'll take it. In the water. And make sure it's all covered, because you do not want paint to dry on your silkscreen. Now, in order to use my silkscreens again in a relatively timely manner, I just put them between a couple paper towels and let them dry. However, you do not want to make the mistake that I made. You want to make sure it's completely dry, because if you don't, when you lay it on there and you get a little extra water on there, you're going to get something that looks like this. I can just cut this off and make that usable, but I wanted to share that little tip with you so you can learn from my errors and not have to repeat them yourself, because that's no fun. Now, I'm going to take a tile and I'm going to lay this over on a tile very gently so as to not disturb the paint, and let it dry. So here's a funny story for you. A little while ago, I decided that I wanted to try again on a different color, and I was like, wait a minute, where did that stencil go? And I'm looking for it, and I can't find it. And I get up thinking, okay, well, maybe it's still over by the sink. Walk over there, look, come back. Nope. It was sitting in my chair. I'd been sitting on it. I also need to make sure that my paddle is dry. Don't want to introduce water in any way. All right. Orange acrylic paint. Run a small bead along the top of it. And this is so fun for me, mixing two of my favorite things, clay and paint, together. Okay, same thing. Run it down the clay. Oops. Didn't quite make it there. I think there's a glob in there. It's messing me up. Let's do just a little bit more right here. Okay. Are you ready? This is the best part. Oh, I love it. These are my inspiration earrings. I like the fact that they're two different shapes. I think it's fun. They're just scrap clay that I made a long time ago. See, their backs are different. I want to repeat that. I'm going to take a cutter. And I'm not using saran wrap today. These are the same size cutters that I used on that other one that I just showed you. Try and find the center. Not like that. Well, you know what? I take that back. Go ahead and cut this guy. And this guy. I'm gonna give him a little twist because it's plastic and it'll just cut through as well. Now let's find the center for this guy. Close enough. We're going for it. So cool. I like it. What do you think? That's what we needed on a spring day. It's definitely what I needed. I think I could have used a cutter that was just a little bit bigger, but then you wouldn't have as much surface area. All right. Gently lift it up, forefinger and thumb, and I'm going to work my way around the circle. All the way around, and I'm going to clean off that outside edge. And while I'm cleaning off that outside edge, my thumb is cleaning off the inside edge as well. I think I'm going to add just an extra bit of mica powder. Make sure the front is completely dry before you do any of this, however. Before you cut any of it, put any mica powder on any of it, because that is the quickest way to mess your piece up. That's one technique, mica powder. Essentially what you just saw me do with just putting it on the back is kind of what we're going to do with these guys. This looks really cool, right? I like it. However, we can make it look so much better. Oh, it's the mica powder. Ho, ho, ho. She says, what on earth? I did. Now, this is where the hot pink, Hermosa pink, comes in. And brown, red, blue, violet. See what it looks like? Ooh. But what is so cool about this stuff, it changes colors. This one is actually one of my favorite ones. And I'm gonna try and go around the flowers in different locations. And the effect that this is gonna give us is almost like a 3D effect. It's gonna bring the flowers up off the surface of the clay. Let's do a little bit of this pink. And I like to blend them. See? So it doesn't just stay in one color, in one shade. Whoops, where did you come from? And I'm just stippling down. Isn't that cool? And this one is blue, violet, red, and orange. See how it looks on the brush? Put it on the clay. See? They are just so much fun. See? Taking the brush and just dabbing. And this will kind of soften some of that blue effect. Put some mica on the back. So I decided that they needed the same pretty treatment on the back. And this you could do more like you did, like I showed you when we were mixing the yellow in, taking your finger and going like that. But that'll give you more of a solid, consistent, the same color all the way across. Whereas this gives you that stippled effect, and it allows you to mix in the other colors, which is definitely more impactful. And what is so cool about these colors is depending on what color you put them on, they change. Hence why they're called chameleon. But here, because there's already mica here, this mica is not really gonna stick. It's just gonna, unlike this, see, it just kind of rubs off because there's nothing for it to adhere to. It can't adhere to itself. If that makes any sense. I hope it does. Whoa, that is way too much pink. And I think I need a little bit more of this color in here. See, this one has more of a purplish, whereas this one has more of a silvery blue. I could just do sheets and sheets in these kind of colors. There you go. And if there's any spots on the front you don't like, just give them a little bit more. This is my resin of choice. And I'm going to put a little bit on each one of these pieces and then put it under my UV light. The resin will provide a barrier layer for these pieces. It will also provide a sheen and sparkle to them. I'm using a little silicone mat as my basis from here, so they don't slip quite as much. It just brings up the color. It adds a whole new dimension to the pieces. 99% of my pieces, I resin. I like to go around the edges, laying a small bead, like so. I tend to pick a little spot, kind of hold it in place. Even though it's on the mat, they will still move. And then as I'm working the resin to the edges, because see, like right here, I didn't get it all the way to the edge, I also bring it together. The resin is self-leveling. It will join together, make a nice smooth layer. Trying to not push on the piece itself, trying to not touch the piece itself per se too much, but just moving the resin where I need it to go until I have the entire piece covered. Right there, it looks like there's a spot that it didn't quite fill in all the way. Okay. So I'm gonna go resin these and I will be right back. Back again. They're out of the UV light. Aren't they pretty? Sorry, they're upside down for you. I love them. Let's use the purple. I think it might be absolutely the capping piece for these guys. So, let's go for it. There's a bunch of glitter. Let's see. Put some resin on here. Whoops. Now you don't want to do that. So I'm going to squeeze up here and go around the edge. There is underneath the resin in these spots. Can you see that? So it kind of creates a different effect when you have the glitter underneath the resin. It looks layered as opposed to when it's just floating or when you put it on the surface. Mix this in and spread it out. All right, we're gonna try this one a different way. We're gonna put the resin on first. A little bit in the middle. Get some resin, get some glitter, I mean. That is so pretty. That is so fun. Can you see how it's spreading out? Mesmerizing. Hold this. Even though it is on the silicone, it does still move just a little bit, which I really don't want it to do. When you get the powder in there, it kind of dries the resin up a little bit. That's not the right word. It's not that it dries it up. It thickens it up for a second, and it changes its viscosity. It wants to slow down a little bit in its movement. And I don't know if you can tell a difference, but I can tell a difference. This one definitely looks like it has more resin, more glitter than this one. And although the resin looks really nice on here, it needs just a little bit more glitter on the edges. So very gently, I'm going to tap some more glitter on here. There, I think that's better. Look at that shine. Love it. Now I'm going to do the fronts of these.